Hey guys, and welcome to part 2 of my video on playing weak opponents and ways to exploit them. So, our next specific area that we're going to be talking about now is overshoving. Now, this is a tool of exploitation that I will only use versus a recreational player. So, what is it? This is when we make a large overbet shove to a fish using either a check raise or raise. Generally, almost all of these spots will occur on the river. On the flop and on the turn, we can overshove, but are different as we make this play generally versus shallower stacks as a form of protection and value, which we will look at in a minute, and I'll show you examples, etc. It's worth noting that in all these spots, we always have value, and it's never as a bluff. Intrinsically. So against a reg, we might decide to make a standard three times value raise on the river, or go smaller or bigger depending on the spot. However, versus a fish, we sometimes need to play these spots differently. As I will use examples in a second to illustrate the sort of spots that we're talking about. So the theory behind this is, if a fish has a strong enough hand, he won't fold it. It's as simple as that. A recreational player will not consider our range or how likely it is we will have him beat. If his hand is strong enough, he will not fold it for any amount of big blinds, regardless of the fact that we know, as the regular, as the stronger opponent, we know we always have him beat in this spot. So, like, what fish player type that we explained in the introduction in part 1, does it work best against? Well, it will actually work versus most fish types, but I guess it's most effective against the aggressive fish, especially if we decide to check to them and go for the huge check raise. Here we allow them to bluff their range like they're going to do a ton. So, we get the added bonus that sometimes, they're going to bet a lot of hands that would fold to our bet anyway, but we get the added bonus of potentially winning stacks also if he does have a value hand. Versus extremely passive players, we might be better off betting our value hands, as they check back, a lot of strong hands they should be betting. But there it's sort of rarer fish that we'll come across. So this is a good example I've got here that we can have a look. So here you can see we're playing a 206 max game. This recreational player here is a 48/2, limp to the button. We complete in small weight 3 suited. We see 8-3-7. Great spot just to lead with our 2 pair. We've got a reg in the big blind worth noting here. In fact, they're all regs here. Not too relevant though to this spot. He calls. See, this is a really good turn. It doesn't complete any straights. He's called flop with some queen highs. He's never folding a 7 or an 8, etc. Another just standard bet spot here. Now this is an absolutely dream card. Now if this guy seems passive 48-2, but he's not. Look at these aggression frequencies. He's 69 on the flop, 71 on the turn, 75 on the river, and he's 76 one when saw flop, 51 at showdown. This guy's he might be passive pre-flop, but he is aggressive post-flop. So when I talked about checking our ranges versus certain player types, this is exactly the kind of player type I'm talking about. This is a player type who's going to stab his whole range here. I wouldn't even be surprised if he just bet a 7 here, because they just seem to bet their whole range in all spots. So he'll probably value bet really wide here, but he's also got a bunch of bluffs in his range. He's got his 9-10s, his jack-9s, his busted straight draws, which are many of them. He's also going to bet a queen here, but really importantly, this card, obviously we just have the best hand here every single time, because any other stronger hand, he's only got pocket 7s, pocket 8s, pocket queens. to beat us. So it's obviously it's out of the question whether we are ever going to really lose here. The backdoor flush has come in. Now, if we say went big here, he might just flat his flushes here, which would be a disaster for us. Likewise, if he has one of the threes here, he might just call us if we bet. Also, if he has an 8 here, an 8 would certainly just call, or a queen. More importantly, the queen, actually, because we block an 8. The queen, he might again bet call a big shove here.